Sports, I'm Aaron Levine. You know, last Monday, the Supreme Court struck down a federal law that had effectively banned sports betting in most states. All states now have the right to legalize sports betting. Unfortunately, the state of Washington has no current plans to do so. And that's a huge shame. Now, before you peg me as a degenerate gambler, let's review where this money is going. In New Jersey, the most likely plan is to use most of the additional tax revenue to help fund programs for seniors and the disabled. Similar to the state of Washington's agreement with tribal casinos, a small percentage will also go to funding programs to help compulsive gambling illness. The general idea here is for most states to use the additional money for good causes. And that's a no-brainer. Say what you want about the legalization of marijuana in this state, but at least much of that additional revenue goes toward health care, Medicaid, and education. What about the tax on alcohol? What about Seattle's tax on soda? Meanwhile, I'm sitting here watching the heated back-and-forth debate over a head tax in this city that's supposed to increase affordable housing, and I'm trying to understand why legalizing sports betting in this state wouldn't be a no-brainer. After all, whether it's legal or not, we know people in this state are still betting on sports. Americans illegally wager about $150 billion a year, according to the American Gaming Association. People are going to find a way to do it one way or the other. Plus, this state rarely, if ever, prosecutes anyone for offshore sports betting online. So why not legalize it, take a cut of it, and use that cut for the greater good? Now, I don't consider myself an expert on the topic, but we do know that it would take 60%, 60 of the state legislature to approve this kind of measure. The tribal casinos might have the desire and infrastructure to open sports books, but ultimately, it's the lawmakers in this state that hold the power. And that's depressing, because knowing this state's history when it comes to anything, the whole idea will likely get caught up in bureaucratic red tape, facing roadblock after roadblock. Just look what it took to come to a compromise over slot machines. In this state, it's not technically even called a slot machine. Instead, it's an electronic scratch ticket that's connected to a central computer along with all other electronic scratchers with a predetermined number of winners. And have you ever noticed that you won't find a pull-down handle on slot machines in this state? Because someone argued pulling a lever would be more addictive than pushing a button. I could name a whole lot of vices that are worse than a Hawks fan wanting to place a $20 bet on his or her favorite team and not having to travel to another state or finding some offshore betting site to do so. So to the representatives in this state, figure it out. Figure out a way to make it happen where our state can use this new Supreme Court ruling to our advantage and help fund things that desperately need it. I'd bet that it won't happen, but I can't even place that bet either.